Uncertainty often slips into the earliest minutes, settling over you like mist before sunlight gathers courage. And you wonder whether this day will welcome or wound you. Yet even now, under a humble dawn, you can loosen your grip on hurried agendas and lift open hands toward heaven. The hush between birdsong and breeze turns into a sanctuary where quiet trust takes its first breath, reminding you that true strength in meekness is never fragile. The God who stoops to wash weary feet also promises to raise you higher than today's anxieties, guiding every heavenward rise and echoing through each thankful footstep. See James 4:10, when you bow willingly. Divine arms slide beneath your shoulders and set you upright in grace. What burden begs for release this morning? Which hidden hope trembles beneath the rising light? Lay both before Him and feel the steady rhythm of His love. Now, as your heart grows still, we step into the journey, letting dawn's gentle light lead upward. You notice the first silver thread of daylight stitching the horizon and lower your gaze, choosing stillness over the swirl of overnight headlines. Kneeling feels counter-intuitive when calendars clamor, yet bending becomes a silent banner declaring your allegiance to a kingdom whose power ripens in yielding. Cool air rinses restless worry from your lungs, while each exhale releases pride that once masqueraded as competence. Breath by breath, the tight fist of self-importance opens until empty palms rest softly on your knees, receptive to grace. You remember the lowly stable where glory first sounded like an infant's cry, and realize that greatness often arrives wrapped in gentle humility. Soft light warms your face, and in that glow you sense the Father's smile. Quiet words rise, forgive the hours you were elbowed aside yesterday. The conversations where image outran kindness, the thoughts that placed my throne above yours. Humility sprouts, not shrivels. Its petals drink deeply from honesty until fragrance fills the room. James 4:10 Then when you bow, God Himself becomes the lifter of your head. Descent makes space for His hands, and lifted by love you rise secure. Awareness widens into gratitude. Pride melts fastest beneath thanksgiving, so you begin naming gentle gifts, the steady thump of your pulse, the butter, warm scent of toast, the shy trill of a rooftop sparrow, the miracle of lungs expanding without command. Each acknowledgement tills the soil of your heart, carving furrows where hope can root. Yesterday's sharp words become brittle leaves. Humility rakes them into surrender's compost, where grace recycles failure into fertilizer. The Father answers, not in thunder, but through the subtle percussion of morning. Child, orbit me. The phrase unfurls like a sunrise banner, realigning your center. Humility is not humiliation, it is sacred calibration around unfading brilliance. You were never designed to generate your own light. Your calling has always been reflective. As that truth anchors, fear forfeits its platform. What looming deadline or unexpected diagnosis can intimidate a soul nesting beneath omnipotent wings? So Psalm 131:2, David pictured his soul as a weaned child, no longer clawing for control, but resting where love is proven. That same rest now wraps around you like a warm blanket. Imagine today as a winding river. Lay each upcoming hour upon its current. The commute, the spreadsheet, the courageous conversation, the secret act of generosity. Some stretches will sparkle in sunshine, others may churn beneath clouds. All eventually pour into the ocean of divine intention. Your role remains simple: stay low enough for that water to wash your feet, removing sediments of entitlement clinging along the bank. The world may sprint towards self-promotion, yet heaven measures ascent by surrender. The tallest oak began buried, the brightest dawn grew out of night. Down is still the doorway to up, so remain grounded even as dreams ascend. Speak softly while truth stands sturdy, walk slowly although tasks bark urgency. In these seemingly minor choices, you echo the carpenter who chose a manger over marble and a towel over a title. His pattern outlines your path: quiet service, radical trust, unforced rise. Leaving this dawn-kissed moment, you feel foundations shift. Ego loosens like sand, grace settles like bedrock. Empty hands now cradle the strength hidden in meekness, and the sky overhead looks a shade brighter because humility has cleared the view. Dawn's gentle glow coaxes you to uncurl each finger, as though peeling ivy from a forgotten gate. Muscles conditioned by years of gripping timetables and titles tremble, yet the cool breeze that slips across your skin insists that release is refuge, not defeat. You draw a slow breath and feel invisible weights slide off your shoulders like dew rolling from cedar needles. Agenda, expectation, reputation. Every hurried plan drops quietly to the earth, landing at the feet of a father who never fumbles what you entrust to him. The hush that follows is spacious. Even your heartbeat sounds softer inside this sanctuary of surrender. You study those now emptied hands. They seem small, almost childlike, yet they are precisely the size of obedience. Seeds only sprout once buried in willing soil. Clenched fists never cultivate orchards. A robin rehearses faith in the maple, offering her song without contract, trusting unseen currents to carry melody far beyond the yard. You join her chorus, vowing to live today, palms up, ready to pass along each blessing, to receive every assignment, to grasp nothing tighter than grace. Proverbs 3:5-6, trust does not lurch, it leans. When you rest your weight on divine wisdom, crooked roads iron themselves into welcoming avenues. Memory surfaces. A season when you shoved moments like mismatched puzzle pieces, forcing a picture that quickly fractured. Regret often grows where control masquerades as care. So you relinquish the deadline pulsing like neon, the lab result hovering unnamed. The friendship fraying at its edge, the bill arriving before the paycheck, the dream whose timetable feels stalled. Each concern drifts beyond your reach and settles into scar-marked hands. God weighs them, not with impatience, but with the intimate precision of one who numbered your hairs before sunrise. Open hands also unveil open wrists, pulse exposed, vulnerability revealed. The posture seems risky until Calvary flickers vivid. Everlasting palms, stretched wide enough to welcome nails and still bless mockers. Fear evaporates in that remembrance. Love proven once remains utterly reliable. You ask for courage to leave empty space unfilled, to resist the itch for frantic solutions, to allow heaven to arrange unseen pieces. Waiting may bruise impatience, yet it polishes faith until it shines like river-worn stone. A 1 Peter 5:7, anxiety suffocates when hurled into God's care. His reach is broad enough to cradle every falling worry until it no longer thrashes. Peace now seeps where pressure once pressed, supple as leather softened by seasons of weather. Joy trickles through hidden channels, steady as sap climbing a trunk before cherry blossoms shock grey branches with color. Emptiness never lingers in the kingdom. Vacancy transforms into vessel. A quiet laugh escapes, light and unguarded, evidence you are no longer self-protecting. Vision sharpens. You picture the coming hours as a bustling marketplace where love transacts freely. Open hands greet co-workers, mend misunderstandings. Steady trembling shoulders wave grace to drivers cutting too close. They lift unwieldy boxes, compose truthful emails, stir soup for a lonely neighbor, wipe a tear from a child's cheek. Service becomes song, melody threaded through ordinary tasks. Harmony that heaven hums along with, swelling every time willingness meets need. Before rising, you trace an unseen word across your palms. Yours. The single syllable seals the covenant of release and echoes inside you like canyon thunder. City streets may still applaud clenched, fist ambition, yet you step into their clamor carrying an open-handed anthem. Should anyone ask the secret shining in your eyes, you will simply turn both palms skyward and smile, certain that some truths refuse explanation. They must first be embodied, then shared like sunlight spilling warmth on every soul it touches. Silence settles over the room like fresh snowfall, muffling the memories that once rattled your nerves. In this hush, you hear the low hum of the refrigerator, the faint tick of a wall clock, the distant coo of a morning dove, and behind those gentle sounds, the steady heartbeat of a father who never dozes. Trust blooms here, not in thunderous miracles, but in the ordinary cadence of constancy. You inhale, slow and deliberate, then exhale as though releasing a paper lantern onto twilight waters, watching it drift beyond calculation. Your mind may still parade possibilities. What if the meeting turns tense? What if the MRI shows shadows? What if the loan is denied? Yet each scenario loses volume beneath the rhythm of your breathing. Anxiety thrives on forecasts. Quiet trust lives on facts. God is present, able, and eager to weave redemption through tangled hours. You repeat those truths under your breath until they glide like oars through fog, guiding you forward without haste. Psalm 40:16. Be still, and you notice that stillness isn't passive, it is a vibrant alignment where your pulse syncs with eternity's drum and panic forgets its lines. Imagine a field just plowed, furrows stretching toward a sunrise you can't yet see. Seeds buried yesterday appear lost, but beneath the soil they crack, stretch, and drink unseen moisture. So too does every prayer you whispered in the dark, each tear sound when no one was watching. Quiet trust believes germination, even when nothing green breaks the surface. You resist the urge to dig up promises for progress reports, choosing instead to water them with gratitude and shield them from cynicism's frost. Trust reshapes posture, shoulders drop, jaw loosens, thoughts slow to walking pace. In this softened stance, you begin to recognize faint footprints of divine intervention scattered across yesterday, an unexpected text, a memory verse resurfacing at the perfect moment, a parking spot appearing right when thunderclouds broke. They were small, like dew pearls on grass, easily missed by hurried eyes, yet each glistened now under sunrise, proving providence was nearer than your pulse. You recall the story of Elijah by the gently whispering breeze on Horeb. God was not in the shattering wind, nor in quake or blaze, but in that barely audible murmur. Likewise, the Spirit leans close today, speaking through subtle nudges. Pause before replying. Smile at the cashier. Rest when pride pushes. Following such whispers may never trend on social feeds, but heaven measures obedience in inches, not headlines. Is 30 with 5. In returning and rest you are rescued. In quiet confidence you gather strength like rivers gather rain, becoming powerful without roaring. Now picture your soul as a garden pond. Distractions are pebbles tossed in, ripples blur reflection. When hands cease flinging stones, the surface smooths and sky mirrors perfectly on water. You decide to guard this clarity, turning off alerts for an hour, muting needless chatter, exchanging scrolling for scripture. As you set these boundaries, peace circulates like sap in spring, carrying nutrients to hidden extremities of hope. Daylight spreads, illuminating tasks awaiting your attention. You smile, realizing trust was never meant to evacuate responsibility, but to accompany it with grace. You will answer emails, drive children to school, negotiate budgets. Yet underneath every action flows a quiet confidence that outcomes sit securely in sovereign hands. Should turbulence arise, you need only close your eyes for 3 breaths, feel ground beneath feet, and remember that the one who names constellations also choreographs your next step. Leaving this moment, you tuck trust like a well-folded letter inside your pocket, ready to reread whenever thunder elbows the sky. Its ink does not smear. It was written with everlasting kindness. You walk out the door lighter, the world no less complex, but your spirit attuned to gentle guidance that will never abandon the path it maps. Sunlight now spills bolder through the window, gilding furniture edges and painting your shadow softly on the floor, and you sense a different current stirring beneath calm waters, gentle yet unbreakable. Meekness is often mislabeled weakness, but you feel its true force the way roots feel bedrock, quietly immovable. You straighten your back, not in defiance but in dignity, aware that heaven's greatest warriors bow first and rise clothed in patient resolve. Every breath you draw carries quiet power. Every beat of your heart drums out the cadence of a kingdom where swords are beaten into plowshares and love outlasts fear. The day ahead may parade giants' sarcastic remarks, looming quotas, traffic jams that test patience, conversations that reopen tender scars. Yet meekness equips you better than steel, like rain-damp earth that yields to each step yet supports forests. A surrendered spirit absorbs impact without shattering. The world shouts, you answer softly. The world rushes, you walk at peace. This counter-cultural rhythm feels awkward at first, as though dancing barefoot on gravel. But soon you realize stones cannot cut souls already calloused by grace. Imagine yourself as a willow by a riverbank. Storms may bend branches to breaking angles, but because the trunk refuses brittleness, it always returns upright after the gale. So too does your soul when it hinges on meek willingness. You agree to speak truth without venom, delegate praise rather than hoard it, and serve unnoticed corners where applause never echoes. These choices weave unseen armor. Humility at the chest, kindness as gauntlets, patience for greaves. Critics might interpret silence as surrender, yet silence often hides intercession, and intercession summons resources unseen by skeptics. Past victories surface, moments you yielded when logic pushed retaliation, and later discovered doors unlocked, relationships mended. Opportunities sprouted where hostility would have salted the soil. Those memories stand like cairns on a mountain trail, marking safe routes for travelers behind you. They remind you that bowls of water and towels have shifted histories more than scepters ever could. Even now, the Spirit nudges you toward unexpected kindness, an email of encouragement to the colleague who undercuts you, a quiet apology delivered without explaining your own pain, a patient pause while a child stammers through confession. Each act looks small, yet small hinges turn mighty gates. The roar of cultural momentum urges louder, faster, harder, but meekness listens for subtler drums. You rehearse mottos that steady resolve, gentle strength never fractures, soft replies scatter wrath, empty vessels resonate deeper tones. These truths lodge under your sternum, ready to surface when adrenaline spikes. Picture them like river stones in a pocket, smooth, cool, weighted reminders to slow gestures and filter words. With every step you feel their presence, and their presence directs your pace toward mercy. You whisper a quiet pledge. Empower me to yield where yielding heals, and to stand only where standing serves. Immediately peace settles like mist on warm earth. You realize the paradox: meekness does not empty you of power, it channels power toward restoration rather than domination. It is the difference between a flood that destroys and a river that irrigates valleys. You choose to be the river, steady, refreshing, shaping landscapes over time without demanding credit. Finally, you envision laying today's inevitable tensions upon an altar inside your mind. Deadlines, disagreements, detours. You see divine hands shaping each into instruments of growth, and you give permission for that reshaping. Strength in meekness means trusting that unseen fingers wield greater leverage than clenched fists ever could. With that assurance, you rise from your seat lighter but sturdier, ready to step into streets, emails, traffic, and timelines with a softness that will surprise onlookers and a resilience that will outlast storms. A gentle smile forms, not naive, but quietly unstoppable, because meekness has revealed its muscle, and you carry it into every corridor the day reveals. You step outside, and dawn has matured into clear gold, stretching across rooftops like a royal banner. Cool air tinged with jasmine lifts your chin almost instinctively, and you sense invisible currents urging you skyward. Though your feet remain on concrete, your spirit ascends. Every earlier surrender, bowed heart, open palms, quiet trust, gentle strength, has prepared launch pads beneath your soul. Like a kite released from grasp, you feel tension turn to lift as the Father gathers every surrendered thread and pulls you into his thermals. Birds carve confident arcs overhead, their hollow bones fashioned for altitude, yet their vantage is temporary compared to the eyes of faith. You picture troubles shrinking the higher you rise, emails becoming grains of sand, bills resembling playing cards, harsh opinions dissolving into distant murmurs. Perspective does not erase responsibility, it reframes it within mercy's vast horizon. You realize that while circumstances stay rooted in time, your spirit sits with Christ in realms untouched by traffic jams and performance reviews. From that summit, you glimpse possibilities you missed at ground level, paths of reconciliation, fresh creativity, courage to speak truth softened by compassion. Lifting, however, demands trust in forces you cannot see. Eagles stretch wings and surrender to rising air, bearing weight with stillness, not frantic flapping. So you quiet your internal chatter, allowing God's updraft to hold you. Anxiety buzzes, whispering that altitude equals danger. Yet peace reminds you that the one who lifts also steadies. You recall earlier dawns when fear pinned you low, but now those memories resemble faded postcards. Proof of distance covered. From this height, you hear city sounds layered differently. Horns form background percussion, footsteps blend into rhythm, sirens cry but cannot dominate the melody. Life's discordant notes weave into unexpected harmony, and gratitude swells like a chorus inside your chest. You sweep gaze across horizon and thank God for unscrolling new mercies with each sunrise. Like pages of an endless novel where grace authors every chapter. In your mind's eye, you mark locations below needing heaven's breeze. You pray over the hospital window, where a friend watches test results load, envisioning comfort rolling through like spring wind. You picture a boardroom tense with egos, asking for humility to drift in and settle arguments before words wound. You imagine classrooms, kitchen tables, subway cars, all dotted with souls unaware that an invitation to rise hovers above them. Intercession becomes effortless at altitude. Burdens ride thermal currents directly to a throne eager to answer. Suddenly you grasp that ascent was never solely for personal relief. It was strategic positioning for service. From a ridge, a shepherd surveys scattered sheep. From a tower, a watchman warns of approaching storm. Likewise, lifted hearts perceive danger, opportunity, and need with clarity inaccessible at ground fog. You whisper, "Point me where compassion must descend," and feel promptings like compass needles turning towards specific faces, tasks, places. Descent, when it comes, will not be a crash, but a glide guided by purpose. You will carry down pockets of sky, the calm, the vision, the steady joy, and distribute them through ordinary gestures, patient listening, measured replies, courageous proposals shrouded in humility. People may ask why frustration fails to stick to you. You will answer with a gentle smile that tells more than explanations. You have seen a horizon larger than deadlines. Before leaving this elevated pause, you anchor memory, the color of light at this height, the hush of air above turmoil, the compassion expanding like lungs in deep inhalation. These sensations become recall buttons you can press whenever chaos crowds again. A single deep breath on a crowded elevator can transport you back to this overlook where burdens weigh less and love weighs more. You begin descent, yet gravity feels like gentle invitation rather than pull. You understand now. God lifts you not to escape earth, but to re-enter it carrying heaven's fragrance. With renewed focus, you step toward streets, shimmering under full morning light, every shadow framed by brilliance, ready to walk pathways below while heartstrings remain tethered to heights. You return to ground with soles brushing dew, slick grass, and gratitude tingles through every nerve. Each inhale tastes of gifts you did not earn, resilience beneath your arches. The orchestra of jay and thrush rehearsing overhead, sunlight crystallizing on spiderweb threads. Thanks flows without ceremony, as essential and invisible as the air itself. The sidewalk stretches ahead like a blank page, and you choose to punctuate every step with remembrance. You thank God for lungs powering your stride, for a heart drumming steady tempo, for a mind that solves riddles and savors humor in the same breath. You thank Him for yesterday's mercies, escorting you through mistakes, and for new mercies dated today, so you never confuse them with leftovers. Gratitude reframes the world. Traffic lights become orchestrated pauses to admire clouds. Construction detours turn into surprise tours of bougainvillea-lined lanes. A slow elevator morphs into a moving chapel where strangers are quietly blessed. Echoes follow, gentle music lingering after a choir's last chord. Evidence of grace carried in small deeds, a door held, an apology voiced. A smile offered. Thanksgiving multiplies influence. Seeds scattered by a grateful heart sprout in soil you may never see. Luke 17:6, a healed leper returned to praise Jesus, and gratitude sealed wholeness deeper than skin. Thanksgiving still closes circles of blessing today. When fatigue creeps in mid-morning heat, you resist caffeine's lure and sip recollection instead. You thank God for mentors who believed in you, for failures that redirected you toward wisdom, for songs that nursed tears on long nights. Each memory becomes a stepping stone, elevating perspective so monotony cannot drown wonder. Gratitude curves outward, turning feet toward those who need lifting. At lunch, you drop a note of appreciation on a colleague's desk. You thank the janitor whose night work prepares dawn's corridors. You text a sibling naming qualities often assumed but rarely applauded. These gestures are overflow, the river of heaven spilling its banks after rain. Storm clouds gather late afternoon, drumming rooftops. You raise arms, letting drops bead across forearms, grateful for rain that rinses dust from air and soul alike. Umbrella forgotten, you laugh, thankfulness transformed into play. As dusk settles, you trace the day backward like a traveler recounting miles. Gratitude has threaded every scene, stitching a quilt of wonder large enough to wrap your weary frame. You realize thankfulness was never mere response. It was propulsion, turning ordinary footsteps into pilgrimage. Shoes off, muscles content. You're grateful even for tiredness, proving you lived wide awake. Finally, before sleep, you whisper one more thanks for the gift of giving thanks, a joy no scarcity can sever. Rest descends, and tomorrow's path waits, eager to sing beneath thankful footsteps once more. Close your eyes and welcome quiet. Picture this entire day as an unrolled scroll in God's hands. Creases smoothed, colors brightened. Watch Him write. Grace across every margin still empty. Feel cares slide downward through your feet while peace rises like warm light along your spine. Whisper one precise thank you, perhaps the scent of coffee or a friend's laugh, and let gratitude echo within. Accept assurance that nothing ahead can sever His steady care from you. Carry this promise forward with slow breaths and eyes open to wonder. Let restful silence close the moment as dawn turns fully morning into everything you touch.